Well, hi everyone. Oh, my mic is already on. How you doing? Welcome. It is Kristi. It is Sunday, and so now in 2021, it is Social Science Sunday. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. So welcome to what is turning out to be the new look for the show. Don't know what y'all think of it. Hopefully you like it. I'm trying to change it up a little bit. 2022, make it a bit more exciting and interesting. I got my lights going on. Got my new setup and got a new microphone. So and yes, I have a new opening as well. I has lava lamp, and so I thought I would share lava lamp. Now I'm not sure. Oh, music is on. I thought that went off automatically. Thank you. Actually, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna take that off and slide it? Thank you. See, I was so excited about things. Okay. Music is off. Thank you, everyone. I was so excited about all the new things. I forgot about the music. So yes, new things. So if you didn't hear before because of the music, I've got my the new setup here with the new look. I've got lights now behind me. New microphone is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, other than messing up with the music, we're ready to go. Okay. So yes, it is Sunday. I am Kristi, and so that means in 2022 it is Social Science Sunday, and we're going to be trying out this new format, see how it goes, really leaning into the social science content and see how many nerds I can attract to the channel. And what I wanted to do in today's show was continue on. We got back to Benton and Crabe. I ended up having to skip some of the Weber stuff. It was just like way too heavy and not really appropriate for, I think, the kind of format of the show. However, that doesn't mean everything else in the book is irrelevant. I want to keep drawing on this. And today we're going to talk about rational choice theory. Now, I am going to be consulting the authors. I've got exciting little bits of highlights in the book that I've prepared, but I also want to talk about it a little bit from my own experience from a political science perspective, because rational choice theory is a very useful theory, but as the saying goes, like all theories are wrong, but some are more useful than others. And yes, in this case, I think that there are some real ways that rational choice theory, from a political behavior point of view, can cut through and, give us an account for people's behaviors. However, I think there's a tendency to want to make it an all-encompassing theory that ends up being more difficult to falsify. But we'll talk about that. Before I start, I want to say, on the music. So, yes, before we start with that, is Lava Lamp and blues, do they still go together, or would you guys like to see maybe a bit more mood music now that the lava lamp is there. So I'll go ahead and ask. Oh, let me change to the screen. Da, 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 da. I did get all of this set up. It just takes me a little bit of time. So I think should Kristi, I'll talk about myself in the third person. Change intro music. Now, here are my thoughts on this, because I think that generally, like, I don't know if the blues really goes with the lava lamp. Intro music from blues. Just first, but here's the other thing. I know people like consistency. When you come to the channel on a Sunday and you hear those tunes, that music, it associates the experience of watching me with that. And so I'm going to first see, should Kristi change intro music from blues? We won't talk about what it would be changed to unless the community wants to see it change. I think that I'm easy in Poem Mama, you're right. Well, mood music, yeah, I'm thinking that more of a kind of a chill out vibe. Something not to put you to sleep, but a bit more like maybe less bluesy, more jazzy would be good. And kind of like a Sunday, like chilling out on the couch kind of vibe. I think the initial idea was blues because I wanted to build up some energy, right? And yeah, lounge music, y'all are saying that. So, all right, I will let the poll or the survey run, but we're going to talk a bit about, we're going to move from that to rational choice theory. Okay, so before we start on that, let's just talk about a little bit, remind ourselves what the goals of the social science is, right? And I'm not going to really use the titles and the thing here because it's too much of a pain. However, I will make the font much bigger. I need to find the defaults in PowerPoint and get them changed so that they have a reasonable sized font in the future. So what are the point of all the social sciences? It's really, in the end, to try to either explain, if I can spell, or predict what people do, think, or say. That's the most reduced down notion of what social science aims to do. All right, it wants to be either want to predict what people are doing, saying, or thinking, and or explain what people do, think, and say. And through this process, unlike the natural sciences, we still have we still have the idea of causality in the social sciences, meaning that the causality is the link, right, between people's experience to people's actions, right? That's what we're trying to do. And as well, with a causal explanation, a theory is attempting to link causality, a causal chain, to a particular outcome. So a theory is, I kind of quote my PhD supervisor almost verbatim, but it's too long to type out. But it's a series of sentences of logically interconnected statements that attempt to explain a causal relationship between something and an outcome, right? That's too much for me to type, but I'll just say that we'll call it like a causality links, right? Links to outcomes. Now that is necessary. All of this is necessary background to understand what the thinking behind rational choice theory is, and any social science theory, right? These are the things that we're trying to do. And also, I should say, much like other forms of empirical social science, we're going to be talking about rational choice theory here. I'll define those a little bit better. It's generally an empirical theory. It is an empirical. So it is an empirical theory, and we verify the theory through observation. So empirical approach. That's what I'll write. Approaches. Because a lot of disciplines can use rational choice theory in order to try to account for observations that we observe. Jazz lounge is a thing. Yeah, maybe at the end of this episode we can do a little survey of YouTube music. Although some of them require copyright. I don't know if I want to sample that on air and then have to annotate it with all of them. But we're going to back up a little bit before we jump into the concept of rational choice theory. And for those of you following along at home, nobody is following along at home. I know. I'm on page 83. We're in the section Phenomenology, a Philosophical Foundation for Instrumental Rationality. Now, if that isn't a title that gets your heart pumping, I don't know what will. I want to take the step back. I didn't learn the philosophical foundations of rational choice theory. I learned more of the final versions of rational choice theory that resulted from this kind of work. But when you think about the origins of rational choice theory and the logic of rational choice theory, then it does all hang together. So I'm gonna start the story at Alfred Schultz. I guess I can get another. I don't really need to take notes on this stuff too much, but he studied in the 1960s under Husserl, which if anyone understands phenomenology or has a history of phenomenology, you'll recognize that name. I will not go into Husserl, but Schultz went ahead and fled Europe during the rise of Hitler, smuggling out some of Husserl's work, and he spent his next decades dividing his energies between social philosophy and banking. This is important because his experience of banking day to day, watching human behavior, I would assert, lays the experiential foundations for his formulation of rational choice theory. Rational choice theory, I'm going to quickly define it before we move on anymore, because otherwise I'm going to be talking about a term that people won't understand. Rational choice theory does not look at the idea of being rational or rationality in any kind of objective term. Right? It is not an external value judgment of a decision. And this is important to really clarify in your mind, because I think the word rational oftentimes gets the layperson's sorry, I'm getting distracted by people's opinions on music. My bad. Understanding of being rational. And in this case, rationality really means having an understanding of what you want and then acting in ways that get you what you want. People who are addicted to cigarettes, you could say, are not objectively acting rationally because the health harms from smoking certainly outweigh like the benefits. Even the temporary experience of pleasure, if you calculate it out in terms of cost-benefit analysis, does not make sense in the long run. So does that mean every single person who goes out to buy cigarettes is acting irrationally? No. Because within the confines of internal processes of values and experiences and rank order of preferences, a person who is having a nicotine craving who then goes to the store is acting rationally insofar as they are rationally pursuing an end to that, craving, right? And that is really more the process we're talking about. We're not talking about good decisions or bad decisions. We're talking about rational choice talks about decisions that are consistent within a pattern of behavior where a person calculates the possibility of the benefits of their actions and understands that there's a negative cost to that, and then whatever the best course of action for them within that framework, by pursuing that is them, they're sort of like acting rationally. Okay. All right, so looking at this, hi, Professor Reet, by the way, and Angus, wonderful to see you in the chat. I'm seeing from the poll here, I'm just going to take a little pause. Mostly people want to change for the music. So for those of you who really like some blues, I'll tell you what, I'll find some, I'll keep one of the blues songs, something in there that will fit the mood, right? And, oh, hey, Sib, how you doing? I'm glad you're awake and with us. By the way, a Lonely Wolf, I already said hello to you. Andrew, good to see you in the chat. Thank you all for stopping by. So I'll do some blues keeping, but something within a larger genre, right? Okay, where was it? All right, so yes, Schultz went into banking, and Banking and economics, honestly, is the simplest and most obvious explanation. It works the best for rational choice theory. It really does, because it's economics. When you're looking at it, it's very clear and accepted widely, value wise. More money good, lacking money bad, and so like using your money in a way that gets you the most benefit is a calculation that really goes a long way in economics. It doesn't, social or rational choice theory doesn't always work as well when it's not so easy to see an economic benefit when we talk about values, but we'll get there in a second. So his experience watching people in banking, watching repeated behaviors while also keeping in mind social philosophy, helped him to work out, a story, a narrative of what was happening with human behavior that he saw all the time. So what Schultz developed, according to the authors of the book, is something called typifications. Now, typifications are like recurring elements from your life that you experience, and you start to organize them in different ways. So, if you were to just eliminate all words and concepts from your mind, sorry, don't mean to cough at you, and you were to just experience the world directly with no conceptual lens, you would still see things that look like trees, right? You might not have language for it or concept for it, but you would have trees, and trees are different from grass, and trees and grass are different from sky. So we start to have these collections of experiences, and we can go, okay, well, this tree looks different from that tree. However, they're both obviously closer together than they are to sky, right? Or ground. And through these typifications, we build up an understanding of the world. And it kind of goes, the way it goes is you have everything, and then things get sort of like sorted into categories and get more specific. And then within those categories, you can get even more fine-grained specifications, right? So that it's not just trees and bushes and grasses, but trees are over here, bushes are over here, grasses are over here. Within trees, you have maple and ash and birch and pine, right? And within pine, you've got 3 needle pine and 2 needle, right? So first we build up general categories, and then we start to get more specific, right? And this then is the basis, according to Schultz, of us being able to navigate the world. Right? So what they write is, eventually we end up with a description of what phenomenologists call a natural attitude, the everyday world of our typifications, right? So we have, we stop operating, we wouldn't say, this is a hypothetical, right? But we operate in the world in a way that has all of these typifications. And not only do they have like a neutral place, but we start to organize them with some sort of like ranking of what things are important to me and what things aren't important to me, right? So just one sec, I'm going to write. Oh, I've got something in my throat this morning. All right, let's go ahead and make some notes here. Purchasing a scented candle by Gwyneth Paltrow can be considered a rational act based on the values of the consumer. So, yes, I know you're being silly. But, all right, so we talk about building up typifications. Come on, type. There we go. Is there a good, I don't think I highlighted that. Oh, yes. Typical or recurring elements from a stream of experience. I love how philosophers talk. Typical or recurring, is it experiences? Where'd it go? Elements from the stream of experience. Okay, so we have these experiences over and over, and we organize them. Now, when we see these relationships and how they function together, we end up with what Schultz called a natural attitude. Yeah, stop. My book is natural attitude. And to be a bit more specific, we build up typifications of typifications, and through this we get this sort of like natural attitude. And all of this is achieved through acts of differentiation and synthesis within my consciousness, right? Should I type that as well? I need like some sort of stand here. That's what I need. Like have some kind of book stand. How awesome would that be? All right, so I'll just type out exactly what they see, even though it's not super, acts of differentiation and synthesis carried out by my consciousness. Now, all of this is kind of background noise. We don't really think about the fact that we do this. This is socialization. This is language acquisition, right? This is learning that objects have permanence, things of that sort. So we're not really that reflective of our natural attitudes. Oftentimes, our natural attitudes are socially informed, and we accept them as just the default or the norm or, the way things are naturally, initially probably without a lot of questioning of it. So in Schultz's work, The Phenomenology of the Social World, this book concerned itself with the way we build up typifications of other people, classifying them into types with particular qualities on whom repeated courses of actions can be accepted. So let's go ahead and typifications of other people, right? We start to have ideas of people based on the roles they play. Of other people, classifying them into types, just like we do with other things in the world. And also what can be expected of them. Now this is very, very important too for understanding rational choice theory. Understanding what types of actions can be expected from them. Right? Now this gives us our common sense of the social world. Common being, gives us our common sense. And common because it is experienced over and over again. It is a common experience. It is typical. It typifies the experiences. This gives us our common sense. Where did it go? Taken for granted. Can't spell today. Knowledge about the social world. Let me give you an example. This font is really super small, for which I apologize. I'm going to big this up because I think I set the last one at 40, but this one didn't copy over. Obviously, I have to do them all by each individually. All right. Woo, all right. That's fine. Now, let's think about how this works and how much our lives, we unconsciously understand these social relationships. Let's say you are walking into a lecture in a classroom and you are going to be the student at that lecture. You walk into a room where, I heard a noise, where all of the chairs are facing in one direction. And at the front, there's a sort of space for people to, like a chalkboard and a table and a computer set up. Would you go, if you're not the lecturer, would you go and sit in would you go stand at the front of the class? Well, no, because just from your experience, repeated experience, that the person who gives the lecture stands in that place. And the table or the chairs are for the audience. And all of even the physical arrangement of the room assumes this idea that an audience will want to look at a speaker and the speaker will have the attention and the people who are watching will be receiving it, right? Think about the social structures difference between, you call it like theater style seating, where all of the chairs are directed at the front of the room. What kind of impression does that give us of what the experience is going to be, right? Someone's going to talk, we're going to listen. Now, take the same situation, and you walk in, and instead there are a circle of chairs. What impression does this give you about the power relationship or what is meant to happen in that room? Obviously, there might be one space set aside for a group leader, maybe there isn't, but this open space, even just facing chairs in this circle, gives you an impression immediately that you're going to be talking, right? You're going to be participating. This isn't going to be merely a passive acceptance. And all of these things happen without your understanding it or realizing it, right? So, by the way, I'm not seeing much in the chat. Are y'all just so fascinated? Like, I haven't seen anything since Lonely Wolf posted something. I want to make sure that the stream is still going. Now I'm suggesting the stream's current. It seems to be all right. Anyway. Yeah, okay, all right. Y'all just so quiet. I'm not used to it. Okie doke. So, next up. This taken for granted knowledge allows us then to function in the world smoothly. Like if we go into a restaurant, right? We understand the rules. We understand that there might be a host or a hostess who is going to be giving us our seats, right? There might be other situations that we just end up navigating naturally. And through this context, all right, still here, still listening, thanks. Through this context, we can call them heuristics. We have shortcuts that allow us to not have to we don't walk into a restaurant every single time and go, oh, I wonder where I sit. Oh, I wonder, like we have these heuristics in our brains. And it facilitates social interaction. Right? And so that's exactly how the next sentence says. That guides our actions from day to day. Right? As we move beyond this type of group, we build up typifications of family and friends and closer relationships with more specific expectations, but our close relationships are still built on a bedrock of typification. Right? How do you know if someone is a good parent? What is that based off of? It's based off of a commonly accepted series of expectations of minimum things that a parent should do in order to facilitate the eudaimonia and thriving of their children. Right? So we have typifications play a role in helping us figure out the world every single time. So for the phenomenologist, for one who focuses on experience, got some technical problems in the back. It's fine. The social world is built up from a complex multitude of typifications, which we organize into meaning contexts. So let's write that down as well so it's easier. The social world is organized, is built, what was I say? Is built from repeated, from a multitude of typifications, from, and this becomes, and this is organized, I'll use their language exactly, or at least as close as possible, into meaning contexts. And this is a taken for granted stock of knowledge which we share with others. Now, I want to raise some questions with y'all on this. Because this, I'm not going to argue with the structure of any of this in terms of causality. I think this is correct. One thing it's worth noting here, which we might come on to later, but these stocks of knowledge are going to be dependent upon our experiences in life. And they're also going to have, let's say, rankings within the wider society. I also think we really need to think a little bit about privilege in these knowledge stocks or stocks of knowledge, right? Because all social structures have some sort of power dynamic under them in some way, whether it's power equal between people or unequal. And what is taken for granted and what is considered a stock of knowledge might depend on your socio-demographic, socio-economic location in life, right? And in that way, some stocks of knowledge, some meaning contexts are given a higher privilege. Not because they are better, but because they are held by people who have more power. So one of the things that definitely, I think there's a lot of good things about rational choice theory. However, I think that there is, some kind of question when you move beyond just a cost-benefit analysis, the idea of privileged stocks of knowledge and values, I think, is worth considering in here. So common knowledge oftentimes has things within it that are not sustainable. For instance, the idea of, I think a lot of working through bigotry when it comes to LGBTQIA issues relates to the conflation of what we observe most often in nature is therefore normal, not in the term of repeated experiences, but there's a value judgment to normal in there. In that, because in nature, there's a variety of ways that animals pair up and that bodies exist, right? And so everything that happens in nature is natural. But when you put normal in there, you're starting to smuggle in some values. Okay? Right. So that's what I want you to not just go, oh, yes, there's a typification and then these knowledge stocks. These knowledge stocks exist subculturally, within groups as well. Not just, there are the homogenous ones, the hegemonic ones that overarch society, but there are also, like, within people's common experiences, these stocks of knowledge. And the stocks of knowledge themselves, like, don't have objective value. Society is the one that says, oh yeah, these stocks of knowledge are more valuable than others. Whether or not that's right, that's what happens. Right, so ethnomethodology is the study of the taken for granted rules which provide us with a sense of social relationships and social structures. So this is, you can say, guides social relationships. Can't type today. Social structures. Right, cool stuff. Okay, how are we for time? God, Kristi, you talk a lot. Right. All right, so just a quick pause. Common knowledge is so dependent on one's environment. Exactly. Precisely. Now, this is when the value part comes in. However, what we can sort of take out of this, the value judgments of meaning, context, and stocks of knowledge are, there is still a internal logic to how people think about things, right? Wherever their stocks of knowledge exist. So Andrew says, I feel like one issue is that people don't understand power very well, how it is and how it works. A lot of it is invisible. I think this is entirely true. One of these stocks of knowledge is patriarchy. One of these common stocks of knowledge is, in at least, in America and in Western democracy, as I would say, some sort of base level of white supremacy. Now, is that rational from an external judgment point of view? Absolutely not. But when you understand that the society had been built up before we were born, or anyone is born, with a set of things that are considered common knowledge or common sense, or as a given, and then why it is so kind of difficult. We're moving upstream when we challenge what is taken for granted as a knowledge stock, or how society is meant to be structured. And there are so many forces that are pushing, in a particular direction. And power exists in pretty much every single relationship. Right, Andrew? In that, there is always power at work. All right, so now we're going to talk a bit more. So this is the next bit. I'm going to go on to slide 5. I guess in some ways, all right, I'm going to do a little bit more on this, but I don't really want to do 1 full hour. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to set this as a base. I'm going to give you guys like a week to go away and think about this. Think about common knowledge stocks, maybe look into this a little bit. And think about the implications of this on your own. And then we're going to come back and look next time at rational choice theory, instrumental variations 1, rational choice theory, a bit more, because there are things in here I want to spend some time on, and I don't want to rush through it. So let's just end with the assumption of rationality. Again, what's the font? Font problems. Bigger. I need it bigger. I'm not going to say it. You say it in your head. I can't say it. This stream is going to be monetized. All right, the assumption of rationality. What happened to my bullet points? I would honestly give you guys these slides, but they're so garbage. There's really no point in uploading them anywhere. You just come back and let's take a screenshot of rationality in Schultz's work. Not walk, though that might have been tasty, is still an instrumental one. It is the pursuit of practical ends. By the way, it keeps coming, all these spelling mistakes are coming up because I have my German spelling thing on, because it's the default on my German computer. All right, go to sleep early. It's okay. We're almost done. DN fan. Go ahead. We can just come back, go 30 minutes or whatever into the screen, catch the last 5 minutes. Schlaf schön und bis zum nächsten Mal, yeah? All right. The last thing I just want to explain a bit more is that cost-benefit analysis that I mentioned. In political science, I should probably get my rational choice theory slides up next time. The way that we try to represent, or a way we've tried to represent the calculations of rational choice theory is to put it into a formula. Now, this is yes, all right. So we put it into a formula that represents the causal relationship as theorized within rational choice theory. Minus the cost plus some error. Can I do E sub 1? It's not that important, but this is actually a subscript. The 1 is a subscript. I say now I'm like all kinds of lowercase. No, where's... You can tell I'm getting old. Guys, I'm going to turn 50 next month. You believe that? Subscript. There we go. Oh, no, that's superscript. Imagine that's a subscript. All right. Now, what does this mean practically? What we're saying, let me go over here first on the other side, on the right-hand side of the equation. When it comes to making or doing a calculation for an action, you have costs to it, and you have the probability of a benefit. Right. And that benefit can be guaranteed or it can be hypothetical. If you are interested in getting the cheapest product, your cheapest mozzarella cheese, and you find the one at the stores with the lowest price, well, you get your benefit right there. You found the cheapest thing. Yeah. If you are betting on the stock market, and I'll say betting, then you're kind of doing a calculation of where you think something could go. So not all benefits are guaranteed, and that is reflected here in this model. So let's define some of our terms very quickly. That's all subscript now. I just D F M L. Okay. Oh, I did it again, didn't I? Okay, at least this time I got the bullet point, which is what I was looking for. All right, P times B is the probability of the benefit of, the receiving the benefit. C equals cost. Are you seriously doing this to me again? Oh yeah, you are. What you doing? There we go. C equals cost. And U is the difference between them. So in this case, the assumption is that if we estimate difference, if we think that the between I'm gonna shoot someone. No, I'm not. That's I just demonetized myself. Between, just leave that there for now. Cost and possible benefit, or no, possible benefit. Right. This isn't that difficult to work out, right? But now it's all typed out. And what we're saying is that if the costs outweigh the probability of the benefit, then you are probably not going to follow that path. However, if your assessment is that the benefit is, higher than the cost to you personally, and then you act in that way to pursue that probable benefit, you are acting rationally. If, let's say we have two people who go to the store, I use this example all the time, and they're interested in buying washing up liquid, liquid soap, whatever you want to call it, whatever country you're from. What you want to get out of the product is not the same for everybody, right? If you are a student who has to buy the washing up liquid, but you also need to balance that against food and, beer or whatever else you want to buy, chances are, as long as the washing up liquid makes bubbles, you're probably going to want the lowest cost because you want to maximize your benefit, which is clean dishes at the lowest price, regardless of the product, regardless of who makes it, regardless of whatever else your first order ranking preference is the cheapest. Now flip this over and we have a guy is shopping for his family and they're very green, right? They're very conscious of what is the impact of detergents on the environment, and they figure that it is worth it to them to pay more money for a product that does less harm. Now, in this case, the dishwashing liquid soap is sort of a second order preference. What they're interested in is environmental impact, and their purchase allows them a means to achieve that. And if it's the case that the washing up liquid that they choose is 75 cents more or $1.25 more than the cheapest brand, they aren't interested in maximizing the cost benefits, or they're not interested in minimizing their costs. They're interested in minimizing their impact on the environment. Therefore, paying more for a product is still rational because it is pursuing their ends. Just add in Minecraft. Yes. Right. And so anything where a person is in pursuit of practical ends. Now, again, this kind of implies some things, right? In practical to them. My phone just went off. They are behaving rationally. Whether or not outside we think that they are doing the right thing or a good thing or the thing that makes the most sense, that's not it. It's about this internal experience. And therefore, that's what we're going to kind of move on in the next time to talk a bit more in depth about rational choice theory and its application. But this time we've talked about the phenomenology of experience, how those experiences are organized through the idea of typifications that are first kind of broad and then get increasingly specific. Even when our relationships with people change, there are still framed against these typifications, and that these typifications become seen as pools of knowledge. They become known as common understandings within a society or a group. They're taken for granted stocks of knowledge. And those collective interactions, typifications, in this pools of knowledge are considered to be taken for granted knowledge about the social world to help us function in it. I think we're going to leave it there, right? Practical, exactly. So we need to, when we talk about practical or rational, don't think about it from the outsider's point of view. Think about it from the insider's point of view. Because it doesn't matter to us if we think people are behaving rationally. They do, right? They, most of the times, with some exceptions, have a clear idea of, why they're doing what they're doing, or they can at least give an account for it, and it makes sense to them, right? They're behaving rationally according to their value systems. And that's where we're going to leave it. These are a little bit shorter, but I do want to, some more voting. All right, so I'm going to also try to keep these shows to a little bit less than an hour. In future, more like 45 minutes in order to, be a little less exhausted, but to go more in depth in a smaller way too. All right, so looking at looks like the poll we got down here, and the poll, okay. 13, still, it was close. All right, so people like routine. I get that. What I'll do is I will keep some of the blues music. I will also, though, change it up with some lounge music. Maybe lounge music to start. and go from there. I wonder, did I, you know, what I could do? Large screen. Where's my 2 camera? There we go. Alrighty, hey y'all. I hope you had a good time on Social Science Sunday. I'm hoping that, yeah, this new format works out and y'all keep coming back. Another thing, too, that we could do on the channel is if you have a JSTOR article that you want me to read out or for us to discuss, then yeah, you can get a hold of me on Twitter. I'm trying to think. I'm so conditioned out of reading the comments because of all the like the negative stuff. I should get back in the habit of reading comments. But it would be wonderful if there are issues that you have or questions you have or things that you're interested in, that if you want us to discuss it here, that you can feel comfortable contacting me. My DMs are open on Twitter. You can reach me there. I'm not on Facebook, but if you tag me there, I eventually will see it. So that's probably the easiest way. Traditional jazz. Yeah, maybe traditional jazz with some soft blues in there just for the people who feel the need for routine as they switch over. Love the alliteration of Social Science Sunday. Yeah, I did too. Mama said, I did too. I was like, so sometimes streaming is like exercise. When I'm on the couch, like okay, I'm gonna lie to you that I exercise on a regular basis. But you know, you get on the couch and you're like, oh God, I don't want to go outside and do X, go for a run, go for a bike ride, and then you force yourself. Not that I force myself to do it, right? But you're like, okay, these are the expectations. Just like get up, get going, get doing it, and then by the end, you're like, oh, I'm really glad. Oh, I feel I have more energy, and that's what you guys give me on a Sunday. So thank you very much. If you are interested in seeing more of me, you can always catch me on the happy hour Friday nights over at Twitch. You can also bug Kevin. He has now learned how to export videos from Twitch to YouTube, so he should be doing happy hours more regularly on here on YouTube now. They won't be monetized, way too much swearing, but at least you won't have to go to Twitch to see it if you're not a Twitch person. And I think that's it. I think all that's left to be said is that I've been Kristi. You've been, of course, awesome. Thank you, everyone who voted in the poll. Thank you for everyone who commented in the chat. And thank you for everyone who showed up to lurk. Thank you for everybody in the future. Hello to you in the future, stopping by and watching all the way to the end of the video. So until next Sunday, yeah, I've been Kristi. You've been awesome. Have a great day wherever and whenever you are. Kiss and a wink, or just the kiss?